For the first time in a long time, we're going to talk about Impact as we review Impact Wrestling for the week of November 5th, 2019 on WrestleDOWN. Hey guys, are you ready for your hot tag? Because if you are, it's definitely time to work.
I'm addicted and expensive. Byron Wilcott. And I'm watching WGS-TV.
What's up, guys? I'm the Wrestle Gamer. Welcome back to another episode of WrestleDOWN right here on WGS-TV. And joining me on the Impact Wrestling review, which is, again, a review we haven't done in years right here on the channel, is the stunning man, Ashley. Ashley, how you doing?
Not too bad. It's weird seeing this stuff again.
It is. It is, because last week, Impact Wrestling made the move to Tuesdays, and on a new channel, Access TV. So since SmackDown made the move to Friday nights, we figured, why not, you know? I mean, it's more wrestling, which means more content here on the channel to talk about. So was it a good show? Well, to answer that question, let's talk about Impact. Impact Wrestling opened up with Sami Callihan in OVE celebrating Sami's championship win with fellow Ohioans, I think, or however you say it. They were paid actors, to be honest. However, Callihan would take a shot at Chris Jericho by saying that they don't drink the weak stuff like the...
A little bit of the bubbly!
And they ended the segment by repeating Ohio versus everything. Ash, you know a little bit more about this than I do. It's been a while since I've fully gotten into Impact Wrestling. I know Sami Callihan. I know about the Ohio versus everything, or the people in it. I don't understand the gimmick.
They just do what the shit they want. So basically, it's just them running roughshod, doing what they know do in all the other promotions like Wrestling Revolver.
They're in there too?
CCW. Well, Pro Wrestling Revolver is Sami.
Oh. Well,
so yes. But see, Chris Brothers were mainstays along with Callihan and CCW. Keep in mind, I can't remember something. I think it was like Switchblade Romance. It was a tag team with Sami Callihan and some bloke you might have heard of called Joxley.
Yep. Well, opening match this week was Moose taking on Willie Mack. Over the past couple of years, I've seen clips and pieces of what Moose has done, including when he turned heel by betraying Eddie Edwards and joining up with Austin Aries at the time. Just recently, Moose was working an angle with Ken Shamrock and Bound for Glory, where I believe Moose used underhanded tactics to beat Shamrock. Now, I've only seen a couple of Willie Mack's matches, and after what I've seen tonight, I'm impressed with both men. Keith Lee isn't the only athletic big man around, and yes, I'm avoiding the obvious reference, so I'll leave that to your imagination. Anyway, from what I've seen, Moose has really progressed over the past couple of years, and Willie Mack is good enough to be in NXT. I say that considering that NXT is the best brand in WWE over Raw and SmackDown. A few spots to bring up though. Willie Mack's flipping senton dive over the top rope to Moose. At first it looked like Moose countered to a powerbomb, but then he crumpled to the ground, so I don't know what happened there, and it almost looked like Mack hit the back of his head pretty hard. Moose would then connect with a superplex that left both men laying on the mat for a couple of minutes until Moose kipped up first, and then Willie Mack followed suit. Considering how big both of these men are, that's impressive. The finish of the match was Moose connecting with a spear to Willie to pick up the win. So Ash, I gotta say, strong opening match for Impact.
Yeah. I mean, with the two guys, you know, Moose has grown a lot over his start up as, oh look, footballer. He's transitioned well, and Willie Mack's been on the scene for at least a decade. That I've seen him through PWG and a lot of California. So it's good to see him getting some opportunities on a bigger stage than just DVDs put out every few months by PWG.
Okay, now a question. Is it Alicia Edwards or is it Alicia Edwards?
I always said Alicia.
Well, we'll stick with that until we get corrected. Alicia Edwards was talking to her friend backstage. Again, if she's a regular on Impact, I don't know who she is. About the dinner date she's supposed to have with Ace Austin, when she would go to look for him so she could cancel the date. When she would hear Ace, along with Reno's Scum, bragging that tonight was going to be the night, and that Ace Austin 316 says, "I just banged your wife." And Alicia will leave the segment.
Be careful not to hurt your groin.
Yeah, just take heed on what happened to Booby Loosely last night on Raw. Madison Rayne was chastising Keira Hogan for being hurt. She had an arm in a sling. When Taya Valkyrie appeared and was irate at Rayne for leaving her in their tag match last week. Rayne said if she had a problem with the way she was running things as locker room leader, which apparently is her gimmick and Impact now, that they could settle it in the ring. Taya refused, saying that she was busy, until she ran into the woman who pinned her in that match, Jordynne Grace. Grace said that she felt like she had a title match in her near future because she pinned the champion in a non-title match. Taya would backtrack and say that she couldn't because she was already in a match with Madison Rayne. And first off, is the injury to Keira Hogan a work or is it legitimate?
I think a bit of both. I can't remember whether Keira was part of the last set of. I can't remember whether she wrestled on the tapings for weeks. Obviously, they've got tapings coming up this weekend. I am just checking now to see whether she's part of the Shine show on Saturday, because she easily could be.
Well, if the Shine show is on Saturday, we also got Turning Point on Saturday as well. We got a lot coming up this weekend.
And Full Gear.
Oh, jeez.
I think because of it, because of the whole Impact contract stuff. If Keira Hogan is okay, she's probably contracted to do the Impact show. So.
Up next, it was another battle of the big men as Unbreakable Michael Elgin took on Fallah Bahh. I've seen quite a few of Fallah's matches in Impact Wrestling, and I remember some of the matches I've seen with Elgin in not only Ring of Honor, but in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. Now, with Mack and Moose, this was more of a battle with athletic big men. Fallah and Elgin was more about power versus power, trading chops with each other in the middle of the ring, Elgin getting off some nice suplexes, including an exploder suplex and a very nice high-angle German. Fallah would use his girth to his advantage. He would hit a corkscrew headbutt, and when Elgin would try a sunset flip, Fallah just dropped it straight south. I'll let you guys figure out what it means. However, the finish of the match would come when Elgin would lock on a crossface to Fallah, forcing the big man from the Philippines to tap out. So back-to-back matches where we see like big man on display here, and Willie Mack and Moose was impressive in their own right, and the same, in my opinion, Ash, could be said for Michael Elgin and Fallah Bahh.
Yeah, Elgin's had some pretty good appearances, the last few in Japan, and making his name, arguably what happened, with Ring of Honor, and how he sort of got somewhat mismanaged over the last few years he was there. He sort of became more of a New Japan guy for a bit. and then the issues that affected him, which put him a sort of persona non grata for a while. Which I still haven't looked into that about what the repercussions of that have been at all, given that we're a few years on from that. But he still knows how to deliver. Bahh, the more I'm impressed by, because he's not just a comic thing to the dummy that actually was Eli. Because if you have a problem fighting a woman, then I understand it, but I'm pretty sure you could have a bit, considering some of the matches he was having, with what he could have had with a Tessa Blanchard and teasing those things. It's his own fault that he wanted to leave the company.
Yep. Ace Austin would walk up go ahead.
On the Bahh situation, it's good to see him sort of be a big guy that sort of not treated with respect, because I guess people have realized that Congo Kong might have been a bit racist because he blacked up, even though obviously he is of ethnic minority anyway, but just how the sort of blackface looks a little too black and white minstrel-esque, if you know what.
I wouldn't say that to his face, though.
No, but I'm just wondering why he hasn't been around. Or is it because Impact don't want him anymore? I don't know. Haven't been paying as much attention. I've been paying more attention than you have over the last few years, Billy. But not as much as the intricacies of, everything. But, yeah. Good performance from both, as it should have been. Although, one though, and it did happen a few other times in the show, can you not play music when you're saying we're going to commercial? Because then it's like, well, we know the match isn't going to end here, even though Josh Matthews is saying, hold on. Oh, he kicked out. Who knew?
Isn't that when Michael Elgin was trying to pin Fallah Bahh when they were going to commercial break? I think that's when he was doing that.
Pretty sure.
Well, Ace Austin would walk up to Alicia backstage, asking her if she was ready for dinner. Alicia would respond by saying, let's skip dinner, and gave him her hotel room key. Gee, doesn't this sound familiar? I don't know. This really has an air of familiarity to it. I mean, Ash, have you seen this before? Because I feel like I've seen this before.
I mean, yes, but Ace Austin is more talented than Enzo.
Well, yeah, to a degree, I agree with you. OVE would take their celebration.
Consensual penis. Fuck off.
Okay. OVE would take their celebration in the building, first running into Jimmy Jacobs, and then getting in the face of Tommy Dreamer, and taunted him with a cake. Who taunts somebody with a cake? I don't get it.
I mean, because he's fat, you see. So why didn't they do it to Fallah Bahh? Oh wait, we needed some excuse to have Tommy Dreamer be in the hang, because he works about 15 different promotions right now.
Well, after watching about 5 or 6 minutes of the Impact flashback moment, which was, I believe, Marafuji and Moose in an Impact Grand Championship match, North would cut a promo still saying that they had issues with one Marafuji, and would throw out a challenge to him to find a partner, because next week they would put the Impact Tag Team Championship on the line. I don't really know if that long... No, maybe if it was like anywhere between 90 seconds to 2 minutes, I can understand the usage of a flashback moment, but not as long as what they did tonight.
Yeah, that was sort of like 8 to 10 minutes, maybe.
Something around those lines.
Because they also had, I don't know whether you had it, but was it like the throwback moment?
That's what it was called.
One that was LAX versus... no, but there was LAX versus a tag team, which was like a 2 or 3 minute squash match from like Bound for Glory. Before Bound for Glory 2006.
That was not on Access.
Oh. See, I have to watch the Twitch version. Which thankfully they actually do let everybody see, because I remember the first few weeks of it being on Twitch, it was region blocked, which is one of the stupid things. Just like, anybody in the world can use Twitch, but if you want to see the wrong country.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crude.
Well, up next it was Joey Ryan, speaking of crude, Joey Ryan taking on the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. This was set up last week when Ryan would interrupt Shamrock, who was making a statement about his loss to Moose from Bound for Glory, which led to the challenge being made by Ryan, which was accepted by Shamrock. First off, what is with the sucker in the tights? Or do I even want to know about that? Because if there's one thing I've learned from my Twitch streams, is to, especially with Noble and John, is to never ask questions I don't want the answer to. Secondly, for being 55 years old, Ken Shamrock is in magnificent shape. Even had abs that would make John Morrison say, damn. I'm 39 years old myself. I've never seen my abs in my entire life and probably never will. Anyway, back to the match. Shamrock would have some decent style chain wrestling with Ryan. Very decent arm drags as well. But the Joey Ryan touching it thing, I get it, it's a joke. It's a joke gimmick. Seeing someone flipped from someone's penis is indeed somewhat comical, I guess. I don't know. Maybe. I'm pretty sure Shamrock was glad that he quickly ended the match by locking the ankle lock on Ryan, forcing him to tap out so he could run to the back as fast as he could and disinfect his hand. I don't know how I feel about that match, Ash. How about you?
Shamrock didn't look great at some of his stuff, but he's 55 and he hasn't done a lot of wrestling stuff. So I'd say that's somewhat fair. To be honest, I'm more impressed that he actually embraced the whole gimmick of actually doing the dick toss.
Yep.
You know.
Because I remember several years ago with Joey Ryan, the main part on camera, the main person that had a problem with him was Al Snow. And then they would do like a series of matches where Joey Ryan came out on top, and if I remember correctly, he was supposed to have been awarded a contract with Impact Wrestling, but was that like the last time he was seen for several years before he came back?
If you remember back, he was part of the whatever the tryout thing was that they did. Impact. I can't remember what the name of it. The Impact tryout thing, and Joey Ryan wasn't supposed to go over. I think it was him.
Oh, I remember what you're talking about now.
And then Ric Flair was like, I like you, I'm saying yes, when he was supposed to say no. So it was like, Rick, this is why we don't give you a live mic. And I don't know if it was him or somebody else, but like, they had him on for 2 weeks and then they quietly just let them go because Rick was getting his drink on. They can't say a little bit the bubbly because he prefers harder shit. A
little bit of the bubbly.
But he was there for a bit. Then obviously he left because of his commitments partially with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla still, but mainly with Bahh Wrestling that he was running. Plus Lucha Underground when he was in that. And then when Lucha Underground looked like it was going tits up, hose down, West Side, he looked to get his release and did so, and said he was proudly going to stay independent. Within a few months, he signed with Impact Wrestling again. Made his re-debut at Bound for Glory, I think.
I think he was
the
in
Rumble, the
Battle
Royal match.
The Battle Gauntlet.
Yeah, that one. It's it's good to see him around and whatever, and getting to do his stuff. With Shamrock, maybe he needs overall a better opponent to exacerbate the yes, I said bait when it relates to Ray Ryan. Didn't call him master yet. Oh shit.
Oh god.
The match with Moose was overall better, I think, but it was still enjoyable and delivered, I will say. But yeah, just it was fun. It was certainly, it was enjoyable to see. It just, you need to find the right sort of people that will justify having a Shamrock.
The OVE party continued to a locker room where they're trying to get one person to drink. Jake Crisp put on a vest that had said El Jefe on the back, which apparently belonged to Daga. Or Daga. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Sami Callihan. Daga? Well, I'm a redneck from Louisiana. We say Daga. Sami Callihan took a swig of a drink and then spit it in the bottle, offered it to Daga, and before a fight could ensue, Rich Swann stepped in and played peacemaker. There's a reason they're doing this.
I need to bring up another point. Throughout this and quite a few of the segments that we've had, there has been crowd noises in the background of these things. Despite the fact, one, the crowd noise is clearly of like a small arena of a few thousand people, when the venue at the college where they are holds, I think, maybe 500 to 600.
Mm-hmm.
So the sound doesn't make sense. It's just like the stupid overdub sound they did when they were in the Impact Zone when Dixie was in charge. They need to sort of not do that, because they don't do that in MLW, which I'd say is arguably the closest comparison to it in terms of size of the shows and present. And secondly, just have the stuff shot backstage and have it be just the sound of them talking backstage and do the promos. Later on, when it got to the hotel room for the thing, which we'll talk about in a bit, lo and behold, there was no crowd sounds there. I actually realised it does make sense to have it there.
Yeah.
Which they would have done in previous formations of Dixie. But I don't see why, we have to sort of like have the crowd like, the sort of, you can hear they turn the volume up on the crowd when like somebody says an interesting line as if to get a reaction from a crowd. Except nobody was there when you filmed it, and you didn't bother to show it on the big screens to get sort of crowd reactions for it. So that doesn't just make sense. Some of those sound production things would be better to just leave it as it is, and just be somewhat normal in that way, I would say.
Up next,
that's my only sort of those are my only sort of two nickel strikes. The sort of backstage overdubbing and the advert break sort of being signaled clearly by having music.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something that Dixie didn't even do, and the previous regime did that much. So,
well, up next we had Madison Rayne taking on the Knockouts champion Taya Valkyrie, who had some idiot named Johnny Bravo, I believe, in her corner with a stuffed dog doll. Well, first off, does Madison Rayne age? And John Morrison, you're indeed a lucky man. For the match, for a great deal of it, it was Taya taking it to Madison. I guess she went out there thinking she had the LRL on her gear when she had nothing on her booty. And it was a very nice booty to look at, by the way. Anyway, Rayne would hit a ripcord cutter on Taya, but the idiot with the dog doll, Bravo, threw it in the ring as a distraction. Madison would send the doll into the crowd and would get blindsided by a vicious knee by Taya, which set up the finish of the match being Taya hitting the road to Valhalla on Madison to pick up the win. The key thing about this match, in my opinion, Ash, is there was good wrestling content, but the crowd didn't give a shit.
Well, the fact that for at least a minute and a half we had a bunch of young girls going, "Let's go, Madison." It's like, okay. Everybody else doesn't give a damn. Except we've overdubbed the sounds here to try and cover up the fact that the crowd really didn't give a damn. I don't know if it was this match or one of the matches where, you know, somebody was having their back to the ring because they were looking at their phone.
Yeah. Something like that. And I think it was during this match. It kind of looked like he just turned his back to the camera, wasn't even looking at the match, and it looked like he was doing something on his phone. So yeah, that's good to have in your front row on camera for a good, decent amount of the match. Backstage, the Desi Hit Squad's manager was reading them the riot act. Do I know his name? No. With this being the first Impact review we've done in years, I don't know his name. Ash,
what are we talking about?
The Desi Hit Squad's manager.
Oh. I should know that. I mean, he's not. Oh, what's his name? What was the old guy? Tiger out. Gamma Sit. No, the guy in the thing. No, yeah, Gamma Singh is the manager.
Okay. Well, speaking of things that are not known, last week we would see a new person. Raj
Singh. Raj Singh, who's part of that stable, is his son.
Okay. Well, last week...
And it's from the same... I don't know whether that's the same people, but it's like, you know, trained, you know, your boy, Jinder. He did train Jinder.
Okay.
Unless the Impact wiki on fandom is wrong, I doubt it is. Yeah.
Wikis are always reliable.
He trained Jinder. I figured it was as much because considering Gamma's from Calgary and Jinder's Calgary and Gamma was trained by Stu Hart, it all makes sense.
Well, last week we would see a new persona of sorts debut with Su Yung, who is now known as Susie. Susie has a creepy doll-like persona about her, and apparently has no memory of what Sue has done in Impact Wrestling over the past couple of years, including the atrocities she did to Rosemary, who didn't believe Susie was who she said she was, and then ran into Jessica Havoc, who was first furious at the sight of Susie, but then became extremely confuddled. I'm still trying to make heads or tails of this gimmick right now, Ash.
Yeah. It's intriguing me because arguably, because I've been following sort of her route for a while through the indies. Since she turned heel in Shine, which was 2014, 2015-ish. She's always had her face in some way covered up with a lot of makeup, like she did as the demon persona that she's had in Impact for the last couple of years. So seeing her not without makeup for the first time in sort of like 5 years in terms of wrestling capacity, it's weird, even though I should be used to it. because I remember it back then from when she was there in those first few sort of early shine things before she turned heel and did her face up and everything. So I'm still getting used to it. Bah.
Well, up next, we had P.D. Williams taking on Bhupender Singh. Now, is Bhupender related to Samir and Samil in WWE? I have no idea, just like I barely know anything about Bhupender himself, other than the fact that he's pretty tall. Also, another thing to take note about this match, it was refereed by a man with no legs, and did a fantastic job of doing it. PD was the fan favorite going into this match, being that they were in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, which is PD's hometown, so of course he would get a positive response from the crowd. It wouldn't go for very long though, as the finish of the match was PD locking the sharpshooter on Bhupender, forcing him to tap out. After the match, Bhupender would try to bully Cam, who was the referee with no legs, but PD would come in for the save by drop-kicking him into the ropes. Cam would then hit his version of the 619 on him. PD would follow up with a Canadian Destroyer on Bhupender. Cam would ascend to the top rope, which again is an amazing feat, all things considered, and hit a 450 splash on him. Ash, upon initial look, because you introduced me to a wrestler at Game Changer Wrestling and in the clusterfuck that had no legs, which was the first time
Dustin Thomas, who people nicknamed as No Legs because they're simple.
And I assume from the way that Cam was moving around in that match and the way that he did the moves and the 450 that they were one in the same person.
No. I've tried facially, he didn't look the same, even if he had shaved his head. I don't think it was him. At least I'm pretty sure. But I mean, it's a weird angle to go. I guess that's what needs to be done, or something.
Well, something. I don't know, but it's now time for the hotel setup scene. Alicia led Ace Austin into the room, told him to take off his clothes and put on the blindfold. So he did. So he was laying there in the bed, in his underwear, with the title over his crotch, with the blindfold on. Eddie Edwards.
At least Drake Maverick went commando on that shit. Ace Austin not so confident.
Yeah, Eddie Edwards showed up, started beating the shit out of him, produced his friend Kenny, the Cane. However, Alicia took him and started beating Austin like he was a dirty rug, which apparently turned Edwards on as the married couple began making out in the hall. I don't know what else to say other than that, Ash. I don't know.
Pretty.
Well, Johnny Swinger wanted P.D. Williams to carry his bags for some reason, and Williams refused. Then the OVE parade showed up and said that they were taking the party to the ring. However, said party wouldn't last very long because Tommy Dreamer showed up, called Callihan an internet troll, and called for a referee so they could have an extreme celebration. However, Dreamer wasn't alone, because first it was Rich Swann, then Daga, and finally, to even up the odds, Tessa Blanchard. And this took place with 6 minutes left in the show. So how good of a match could this be? Well, what could they do in 6 minutes? Well, I did see Tommy Dreamer drop one of the Chris brothers with a cutter into a cake. Tessa apparently still has her major issues with Callihan herself. However, the finish came when Swann countered Callihan's pile driver into a victory roll pin to pick up the win. So does that mean if Callihan gets by Brian Cage this Saturday at Turning Point, does that put Rich Swann in line for a title shot, Ash?
I mean, maybe. Let's be honest, it's probably going to be Blanchard.
Yeah.
In which case, Cage can't win on Saturday, so have we already spoiled the main event, so you should watch Gear instead.
I thought Full Gear was on the 9th.
No, Full Gear is Saturday.
Oh,
TV tapings for Impact are Thursday and Friday. Turning Point, which is the Impact Plus show, is Saturday. And then Sunday is the Twitch show, which may or may not be on Josh Matthews' mobile.
well, anyway, guys, it's time for overall score and thoughts. With this being my first full-on Impact Wrestling review in years, tonight's show certainly had its ups and downs. Moose and Willie Mack was very impressive, as well as Michael Elgin and Fallah Bahh. Ace Austin getting beat up in a hotel was a scenario we've seen before in wrestling, but never seen a man getting turned on by a woman, stepping on another man's dick, ready to take his head off with a kendo stick. By the way, next week the North will defend the Impact Tag Team Championship against Marafuji and Eddie Edwards, if they could pry him away from Alicia and the kendo stick. Madison, kendo stick better be clean, by the way. Madison, Rayne, and Taya Valkyrie was a nicely worked match, but the fans didn't seem to care. In fact, there was one guy who had his back turned to the camera and didn't even watch the match at all. Joey Ryan is a man who wants other men to touch his penis. Shamrock touched it, and then touched his ankle for it. Petey and Boopender was okay, but Cam, the referee with no legs, got a nice pop with what he did after the match. And you really can't have that good of a street fight with 6 minutes left in the show. Overall score of Impact Wrestling this week gets a 2.95 out of 5, with best match of the night going to Moose and Willie Mack, and a tie for weirdest segment of the night. First, Eddie Edwards making out with Alicia in the hotel, and then Susie's run-ins with both Rosemary and Jessica Havoc. Weird. Ash, over to you.
A solid show. Despite the few of my nitpicks, all the matches were okay to good. You know, even though the 8-person tag 6-minute rush job wasn't perfect. In which case, like, if you're going to have sort of a throwback moment, maybe make it something shorter rather than anything else. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But overall, solid show. I think it is. I mean, it's certainly more entertaining than the average sort of ROH stuff has been recently. At least in terms of the live shows. I haven't seen some of the TV stuff, but from what I've heard from the people that have seen it, friends and other people that I follow online, not great shape, and that's not even including the backstage stuff. Impact's been through a lot, but as long as it keeps delivering solid stuff, maybe they will live forever. Cue that, they're going to be killed in 2 months' time, damn it.
Well, anyway, guys and gals, that's been our thoughts on Impact Wrestling this week. What we want to know from you guys out there, the viewers and subscribers, your thoughts on Impact Wrestling. What are your overall scores, and what are your picks for best and worst or weirdest match or segment of Impact Wrestling this week? We definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. Be sure you put your comments in the comment section below. If you guys like this video, be sure you slam that like button like a champ. And if you guys want to see more of WrestleDOWN right here on the channel, you know the 2 ways you got to do it. You got to leg drop the subscribe button and hit that bell icon to turn on notifications, so that way you guys will never miss out on another video right here on my channel. So with my special thanks to this studly man, Ashley, who's having a little bit of this.
A little bit of the bubbly.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Russell Gamer, inviting all of you guys out there to to just stay awesome. Bye, guys!
Why does this taste like Sami Callihan?